I'll say 3, 2, 1, sir. Let me see the viewer count if any people have joined.
I'll get the check.
Yeah. We are on air now. I will begin in 3, 2, 1. When everybody.
How many people are there?
Let me check.
The recent past, when did we launch a new product? Medicine Gold, when? Maybe when? 3 years. For the last 3 years, there was no product.
Just a second, sir. I'll show you the number of viewers.
Okay, you go live.
Yeah.
People will be waiting.
We are live now, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is an important day in the history of British biologicals as we are going to embark our new journey in the field of infant nutrition. Okay. And after almost 3 years, after the launch of Medislim Gold and Cyrus, we are getting an exciting opportunity to enter a market which is almost 2,000 crores in prescription alone for the infant nutrition, and it is also growing at the rate of 35%, which means that from this year on, whatever sales you are having, we have the opportunity to grow by 100% within 3 years with these products. What an exciting product launch it is going to be, and at what price, and what are all the products, and how it is going to be very beneficial, that medical part of it, and the exciting marketing arrangements that has been done at the head office level. Everything we will see it for now. In Optimus division, we are going to launch Nasscent, and in Proteus division, we will be launching Bilk, B-I-L-K, baby's milk, Bilk, and that will be in 2 strengths, 200 gram tins and 400 gram tin. Nasscent will be in 400 grams tin. And one important thing is that Nasscent is going to be a premium product for the class, and Bilk is going to be priced in such a way that it is a mass consumption product. So the market is really exciting, gentlemen. With this launch, we will be able to grow very well in British biological, which is a question mark for the last 5 years, as our compounded annual growth rate is not that encouraging. So this is an opportunity, gentlemen. We have already done this 3 cheers across the country, and by next week you will all be knowing to which division each one has been assigned, from your zonal manager and from the HR as well. So this is going to be an exciting time for Optimus team launching the Nasscent and Proteus team launching Bilk. So from here, gentlemen, the most important thing is that, and we will have a very specific target and the booking campaign rolling out from March 15th. Okay. Now I am going to give the session to Mr. Our training team to take us through the medical part of the products. Thank you.
pasted the video, right?
Yeah, I have pasted it.
The video, I think it's on that slide. That one.
This one.
Go to the.
No, this is just a video. This is not your video.
New
What's it video called?
Bilk Nasscent.
This one,
That one.
Yeah.
The audio will play, no? Slideshow.
Slideshow. Do the slideshow. I'll begin it now.
Oh my god, I'm scared. Good evening, everybody. I'm Divya Priscilla, head nutritionist from the advanced division. So I'll be taking you through the introduction of the brands. So we have 2 brands that we'll be talking about today. So let's preview the brand. Is the audio working? So I'm so excited to introduce the 2 most important brands of infant nutrition, that is Bilk and Nasscent. So you would have seen the packaging. So before we go into the infant formula, I would like to make you understand what are the basics of nutrition, or what is an infant formula going to do. So first, the definition of an infant: a young baby from birth to 12 months of age. So any baby before the age of 12 months is considered an infant. So what is breastfeeding? So according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, is recommended that breast milk is an exclusive nutrient source for infant for the first 6 months. So there is an emphasis on introducing breast milk to a child. So breast milk should be continued with the addition of solid foods. That is, until the first 6 months, the mother is asked to give exclusive breast milk for the baby, and post that, along with the complementary food, you'll need to give breast milk as well. So breast milk contains right amount of nutrients, is in right proportions for the baby, and that is why we say it's mother's liquid gold. So I have emphasized on this saying, or the tagline saying mother's liquid gold, is only because this is completely a nutrient rich milk for the baby. So looking into the composition of breast milk, so here there is different nutrients that is present. So stages at which is secreted and the description. So first, milk, that is called as colostrum, that means in the first 5 days post the delivery, that is the mother who delivers a child, in the first 5 days the colostrum milk is produced. So it's a yellow thick milk, high in proteins, vitamins and minerals. This is very essential for the baby because it produces a good immunity build up for the baby. And the transitional milk, which is about 5 to 7 days post delivery, it's white in color and milky. Mature milk after 10 days post delivery, thinner, white milk, high in fat and sugar. And fore milk, that is beginning of feeds, supplies fluids. So it's called as fore milk, and that means it's a white liquid. It is mostly present with lactose, water and lactose, so that means it keeps the baby full. And the hind milk, which is very rich in fats. This is the types of milk for the baby that the breast milk contains. So the human breast milk contains the composition of the breast milk. We are going to understand that is about 87% to 88% is only water, and about 124 grams per liter, that is solid components. Apart from water, what is the solid components that we have, such as micronutrients, which is 7%. So you could say in per liter it is 60 to 70 grams per liter of carbohydrates, and 1%, which is about nearly 10 grams of protein, and 3.8% of fat, which is about 35 to 40 grams per liter, or in a liter there is content of fat. The composition will vary depending upon the mother's condition, post-delivery, and her, mainly it is about her diet. So the solid component, if you look at it, the human milk composition, so it's about 87% water, and the rest 13% has the solid component. So it can be your lipids, it can be your protein, lactose, and HMOs. This is a chart which depicts the comparison of nutrients, comparing it with human milk and cow milk. If you look at it, the percentage, so it's about 88% in human milk, and cow's milk contains 87.5%. And the energy is about very close, around the 60s range. Protein, which you see in cow's milk, is a little higher compared to the human milk. Carbohydrates is 7.4 in human milk, and cow's milk is about 4.4. Fat is 3.4, and the rest of the nutrients which play a major role in the growth and development of the infant. And looking into each nutrient factor, probably like your protein, fat, and other nutrients, when we look at the fat distribution in human milk, if you look at it, it contains lipase. So lipase is an enzyme that helps in the digestion, but in cow's milk we don't have that. So human milk, that is why exclusive breastfeeding is suggested, because you don't have to do anything. The baby's digestive system is set up to such that the mother, when she feeds the child, everything is taken care of. And the cow's milk composition, if you look at, it's about 88% water. The distribution is fat is 6%, vitamins are just 2%, and protein is about 4%. In protein, when you look at, I hope you all have understood what kind of proteins we have studied. So when you look at it, it is comprising of two components, that is your whey and your casein. So in whey, the cow's milk contain about 25%, and casein is maximum of 75%. But in human milk, that's the mother's milk, the composition of whey and casein will completely shift over. Okay, in whey we have beta lactoglobin and alpha lactoalbumin, and the casein content is alpha beta kind of caseins that is present in the casein milk. So when we understood what is the infant breast milk and what is a cow's milk composition, why we happen to choose cow's milk or compared to a human milk. So the closest match in terms of nutrients or probably similar to a mother's milk is only cow's milk. That's an alternative. But the cow's milk, because of certain other nutrients, we may not be able to give it completely at the initial stages. Later on in the child's development, then the cow's milk can be introduced. But because of these barriers, the infant formula has been introduced. So what is the barrier? Why, for what reason a mother will not be able to breastfeed a child, and what is the option for that? So the barriers, when you look at misinformation. So misinformation is something but that the mother or the parent may be given some kind of wrong information about feeding the child breast milk. So returning to an outside, if it's a working mother, so she needs to get back to her work, she may not be able to ensure feeding her child that frequently. Social embarrassments. Common problems associated with establishing the lactation routine, that means engorgement, blocking ducts. So these are the possible reasons that if the breast is not in a state of feeding the child, then she could choose an alternative method of feeding. Lifestyle choices of the mother. Medical conditions precluding breastfeeding. infants suffering from galactosemia. It's a kind of a inborn error metabolism. And infants with phenylketonuria, that is also an inborn error metabolism. Certain medications, if the mother might be on a steroid or any other medications that could pass through the breast milk, so that might hinder the child's growth and development. So that is why the mother is asked not to breastfeed. Drugs, alcohol, nicotine abuse, and breast surgeries. And other kind of illnesses like AIDS, cancer, TB, and hepatitis. So what is the best suitable after breast milk for the baby? If you look at is infant formula. So infant formula is defined by law as in part a food for use by infants that stimulate the human milk or is suitable as a complete or partial substitute for human. It's very similar to human milk. So that is why an infant formula is emphasized for the child for proper nutrition and development. So infant milk is or formula milk, if you say, is not a bad thing. Formula milk can be given for the child's growth and development. So we have the brand here called as Bilk, an affordable milk supplement for mothers who desire to give the best for their infant. It is the most affordable infant formula that you can give, and we have it in the name called as Bilk. So when we look at the nutrients in milk, I will just brush you through the nutrients, the most important nutrients that we have in milk. First one is whey. So whey protein are bioavailable, quickly absorbed into the body, and have a high concentration of branching amino acids. So those are your BCAAs. It's highly digestible source of protein. It is one of the most important nutrients for building strong, healthy muscles and organs, and whey protein strengthens immune system. The body uses protein to make antibodies and hormone. So the idea of introducing whey is only to make sure that we have it in a pre-digested form, so that it's not a heavy burden on the baby's gut system. The next nutrient is casein, which is a component of milk. So it's about 20 to 45% of the protein in human milk is casein. Its slow digesting properties provide a sustained slow release of amino acids into the bloodstream. Prolonged increase in blood amino acid results in reduction in protein breakdown and more positive net protein balance. Okay, it is another form. It's a slow digesting kind of a protein. It's about around 40% that is present in human milk, which is almost similar to in our brand. And the next important nutrient we have is inositol. So why do they put inositol in baby formulas? It is an essential nutrient required by human cells in culture for growth and survival. So inositol, it promotes maturation of components of surfactants and may play a critical role in fetal and early neonatal life. So it's very important in the neonatal life of or a period for the infant to ensure that the development and the growth of the child in terms of its neonatal connect with the mother is better when inositol is given in the early stages of life, which otherwise is normally present in breast milk. So there is a study that I have added over here. The human milk component of inositol promotes neuronal connectivity. So it is most abundant in human milk, and it is also very important to the fact that in early stages, if you promote it, there is synapse abundance in human excitatory neurons. So it will basically help in the neural development of the child. And nucleotides is a biological molecule that forms the building block of nucleic acids. So basically our nucleic acids like your RNA and DNA, which is also a building structure like your deoxyribose nucleic acid and ribose nucleic acid. So they form the major in the immunity as well as tissue development and repair. So nucleotides are very important because they synthesize in the body. Okay, it is one part of the amino acid. And the maltodextrin that has been added also are low molecular weight. It's a source of carbohydrate. I'm sure you all must have understood in the other brands as well where we have maltodextrin. So if you want to know why it is also added here, because it is it is a kind of a starch with acid, alkali or enzyme, and are used to stop sugars from crystallizing as sweetness. So in Bilk, we do not have any artificial sweeteners or sugars. So this will form a part of the carbohydrate. Okay, the calorific value benefits infants. And when you look at the nutrient table of Bilk, if you look at the human milk and if you look at the cow's milk, so the energies, we are almost matching the energy of human milk. Protein is about 1.8 in Bilk, fat, this is for per 100 ml, okay, and fat is which is about 2.7 grams, carbohydrates is about 9.4 grams, and calcium and phosphorus ratio is about 2:1. The whey and the casein is about the same ratio as what is there in humans milk, that's about 60 and 40, and inositol, if you look at Bilk, is about 4.5 mg, and nucleotides is about 2.2 mgs. This will be taken into detail in the later trainings for you. And the feeding table, if you look at, for you to understand what kind of a feeding schedule or a pattern that we'll have to go ahead with Bilk, in the first 2 weeks, that is 1 to 2 weeks of the child, you need to take about 90 ml of water, so that is about 3 scoops of the Bilk powder. So about 4 to 5 feedings per day. So this is a chart which will clearly depict how the whole day schedule should be done for the child. The mother can easily refer to this chart and understand how much ml of water she needs to be taken and how many scoops of Bilk she needs to add into the water to make a feed for the infant. Later on, as the age progresses from 3 weeks to 4 weeks and then so on to 5th month and 6th month, the quantity of water as well as the quantity of the scoop servings gradually increases to ensure the baby gets good amount of nutrients in terms of calories, proteins and the other micronutrients as well. And you look at the ingredients of Bilk, we have milk solid, lactose, oleic sunflower oil powder, casein, maltodextrin, it's a mineral mix, vitamin mix, and also we have some amino acids like taurine, nucleotides, carnitine and inositol. I will be playing you a video of how the entire milk production will happen, so you can it will be a easy understanding for you in terms of a normal mother who will be able to breastfeed what kind of how the milk production happens. Okay.
When a woman becomes pregnant, her body undergoes hormonal changes, primarily influenced by 2 hormones, estrogen and progesterone. These hormonal shifts prepare the breasts for milk production. Shortly before childbirth, another hormone called prolactin, which is responsible for milk production, increases in the woman's body. After delivery, when the baby begins to suckle at the breast, it stimulates the nerves in the nipple and areola, sending signals to the brain. Within the breast, there are small clusters of granular tissues called alveoli. These alveoli are responsible for producing milk. During pregnancy, under the influence of hormonal changes, these alveoli begin to multiply and enlarge. By the time the baby is born, the mother's breasts have around 150,000 alveoli in each breast. This is many times more than the number of alveoli that a non-pregnant woman has. Inside each alveolus, there are specialized cells called secretory cells or alveolar cells. These cells are the key players in milk production. They produce and secrete milk components such as proteins, fats, lactose, and immune factors. In response to the baby's sucking and nipple stimulation, the hormone oxytocin is released from the pituitary gland in the brain. Oxytocin triggers the letdown reflex, also known as the milk ejection reflex. This reflex causes the muscles around the alveoli to contract, pushing the milk into the milk ducts. And out through the nipple. Breast milk production operates on a supply and demand basis. The more frequently and effectively the baby nurses, the more milk is produced. When the baby empties the breast during feeding, it signals to the body to produce more milk to meet the baby's needs. In the initial days after childbirth, the breasts produce a thick yellowish fluid called colostrum. Colostrum is highly concentrated and contains antibodies and other immune factors to provide the baby with essential protection. After a few days, colostrum transitions into mature milk, which is thinner and lighter in color, but contains a perfect balance of nutrients, including proteins, fats, carbohydrates, vitamins, and minerals, specifically tailored to meet the nutritional needs of a growing baby. It also contains antibodies and other immune factors that help protect the baby from infections and diseases. Breastfeeding has many advantages for the baby's health and development. It helps strengthen the baby's immune system, reducing the risk of respiratory infections, ear infections, allergies, and other illnesses. Breast milk is easily digested, leading to less constipation and diarrhea. It is also associated with a reduced risk of obesity, diabetes, and certain childhood cancers. Breastfeeding provides several benefits for the mother as well. It helps the uterus contract and return to its pre-pregnancy size faster. Breastfeeding can also aid in postpartum weight loss as it burns extra calories. Additionally, breastfeeding has been linked to a lower risk of breast and ovarian cancer. The composition of breast milk can vary from woman to woman and can change throughout the course of breastfeeding. The levels of various components can be influenced by factors such as the mother's diet, health, and environmental factors. Breastfeeding promotes bonding between the mother and the baby. Physical, skin-to-skin, and eye contact during breastfeeding help strengthen the emotional connection between the two. For the first 6 months of life, the World Health Organization, WHO, recommends exclusive breastfeeding, meaning the baby receives only breast milk and no other foods or liquids, including water. At around 6 months of age, infants begin to eat solid foods in addition to breast milk. Breastfeeding continues alongside the introduction of solids, gradually decreasing in frequency as the baby eats more solid foods. Breast-stopping milk production, or breast weaning, is highly individual and there is no fixed age at which breastfeeding must end. This can happen gradually and naturally when a mother and baby are ready to stop breastfeeding. The key driver for milk production is demand. When a baby breastfeeds less frequently, the breast receives fewer signals to produce milk, leading to a gradual decrease in milk supply. Mother's body reabsorbs the milk that is already present in the mammary glands. The breast tissue gradually shrinks.
So I hope it's clear about the breast milk production. So here it is basically to understand how this entire process happens in a mother who is a new mother, but this process is not happening for the mother that we are going to introduce this infant formula. So it's a boon for the mothers that this infant formula has been introduced, and we have this brand Bilk here. So it's a great gift for mothers, and it's one important factor that we are looking at. Bilk is at an affordable price, which most mothers need their child to be taking it but cannot afford because of the cost or because of certain other reasons, and hence we have Bilk here. So I will forward it the training to our legend Ali sir, and he will take you through the next presentation. Thank you. So we'll take a 2 minutes break and we'll get back to you. Thank you.
Am I audible now? Please type in the comments if I'm audible. Am I audible now? Okay, please type in if you hear me, who is an infant? So, an infant is an young offspring of a human. The term infant is typically applied to young children between the ages of 1 month to 12 months. So, when we say infant nutrition, it refers to a child between 1 month to 12 months. However, even the first month is also considered for infant nutrition. Now, you will come across, when you meet a doctor, you will come across these terminologies like neonate, infant, toddler. You need to understand the classification based on the month and years of the child. A neonate is somebody whose life cycle, the age is between 0 to 27 days. Infant is actually from 28 days to 12 months or 1 month to 12 months. Similarly, toddler is somebody between 13 months to 2 years of age. And early childhood is 2 to 5 years, middle childhood is 6 to 11 years, and so on and so forth. So composition of breast milk, Divya has already described it. I will quickly go through it. So colostrum is nothing but it is the first milk that is expressed by a mother. So the first 5 days post delivery is what the mother expresses. It is thick, yellow in color, high in protein, and it has vitamins and minerals. A question for you now, why is this colostrum yellow? Quickly type in if you know the answer. Some of you are still typing no audio. Would you please type in not audible and not visible? Kashif says not audible and not visible. I have Divya next to me. Can I check with Divya? Am I audible and is my PPT? Raju says yes. Paresh Rajera says yes. Okay, Divya says yes. So I'll assume that everybody is able to hear me and see my presentation. Okay, the reason the colostrum is yellow and thick, it's because of beta carotene, and also it's because of vitamin B2, that is riboflavin. Okay, so transition milk is expressed by a mother between 5 to 10 days post delivery. It is rich, it is white in color and milky, and mature milk is after the 10th day post delivery. It becomes thin, white milk, and it would be high in fat and sugar. Now, what is this foremilk and hindmilk? Now, foremilk is nothing but when a mother starts feeding the young one, the milk that comes out initially, at the very beginning of the feed, maybe it could be a minute or two, the milk that comes out initially is called as the foremilk, which usually supplies a lot of fluids. Now, as Divya said that the milk itself is 87% of the milk is fluid and liquid, so that liquid is expressed in the foremilk. And hind milk is the milk that is expressed towards the end of the feed, which is actually supplies a lot of nutrients like protein, fat, and antibodies. So again, it's a repetition. I'll revise it again. So human milk composition consists of 87% water, that is the liquid part, and the solid part is just 13%. Out of that 13%, lactose is predominant, which is a carbohydrate, and you have lipids and human milk oligosaccharides and proteins. So once again, this is the comparison of nutrients between the human milk and the cow milk. Now if you look at the water, 88% of human milk is water, and in the cow it is 87.5. So in the protein it is 1.1 is to 3.2. So as we go through the presentation, I will also take you through some of the comparison between the human milk and the cow's milk. Now this is interesting. Now if you see this comparison between the human milk, cow milk, buffalo and goat, Now look at the protein content. It is just 1 gram per 100 ml. Now if you look at cow, it is 3.4, 2.9 and 3.6, respectively for cow, buffalo and goat. Now when we know that the human breast milk has only 1 gram per 100 ml, but then why is that we prefer cow or buffalo and goat milk for the infants? Just type in that when mother is weaning off from the breast milk, they prefer to give cow's milk. Is it right? Please comment. Okay, and if you look at, okay, guys, you need to participate. I'm waiting for your comments because I would not deliver a monologue, and I want your comments. That is what encourages me whether you are able to understand or not. Okay, now look at the lactose, the carbohydrate content. It is highest in human milk as compared to cow, buffalo and goat. Now the reason why I asked you is why the protein is less in the human milk versus the cow, buffalo or goat. If you give a high amount of protein to infant, or if you feed a cow, buffalo, goat milk, it has a high renal solute load. See, the young ones kidneys are immature and they are still developing. What happens is the metabolites of the protein degradation like urea, uric acid, all those things ammonia increases the renal solute load or the potential renal solute load. So the immature kidneys will not be able to tolerate the load and it will eventually lead to kidney failure. So therefore high protein is not recommended at the initial life. Now let's look at the differences in the fat of different milks. Now if you look at the human milk, it contains lipase to complete digestion. Now what is this lipase? Lipase is an enzyme that is responsible to metabolize your fat. However, if you feed cow's milk, it has no lipase. So it is therefore, it is not digested and it is not absorbed. Now let's look at iron absorption. So human milk has around 50 to 70 milligram per 100 ml. Now if you look at the absorption rate, human milk is absorbed at the rate of 45 milligram, whereas the cow's milk, though it has the similar iron content, but it is poorly absorbed and it can potentially lead to anemia. Now let's look at calcium. We look at some of the minerals. Look at calcium, it is just 33 versus 125. Sodium is 15, and once again cow's milk has 96. Chloride is 43 and cow is 103. And if you look at the calcium, sodium, chloride, it has the right amount, whereas the cow's milk has too much. Now barriers to breastfeeding, I'll quickly go through because Divya has already explained this. One is misinformation, means it was told earlier that the woman should not breastfeed initially for the first few days. However, it is a myth. Or if a woman is working, she has to return to an outside job. Embarrassment, our women or Indian women are embarrassed to feed the young one outside. It could be railway station, airports or bus stations. They feel embarrassed to openly breastfeed. Common problems associated with establishing the lactation routines like engorgement or blocked ducts, etc. Sometimes it happens that between third day, fifth day, there's a possibility that there is too much of milk being expressed, and it can lead to engorgement. There's pain, the breast becomes tender, and sometimes even the blocked ducts can also lead to this condition. And it could be a lifestyle choice of the mother. The mother may not be prepared to breastfeed. So what are the other medical conditions that preclude breastfeeding? One is the infant could be suffering from galactosemia. Now, what is this galactosemia? Is nothing but when a baby drinks milk, the milk contains the major carbohydrate is lactose. Now, as you know, lactose is a disaccharide. When this disaccharide is broken down to glucose and galactose, the galactose needs to be again metabolized using an enzyme called galactokinase. So because of the genetic mutation, the gene that expresses this enzyme is absent or it is muted. So what happens is the galactose gets accumulated in the blood, leading to this condition called galactosemia. Okay, and children suffering from galactosemia, you need to be put on a specialized infant nutrition which does not contain the lactose. And cleft lip and palate, the child may suffer from the inborn error or the congenital anomaly, where the baby is not able to latch the nipple properly because of the cleft lip, or it could be because of the cleft palate. The upper palate, there could be an opening, so the child may not be able to hold the nipple or suck the nipple properly. Similarly, infants with phenylketonuria, once again, the milk is made up of whey protein, and when the whey is metabolized, it leads to an essential amino acid called phenylalanine. Now, once again, this needs to be broken down to whenever there is an accumulation, or when this metabolism of phenylalanine takes place, or it is not metabolized, it will lead to a condition called phenylketonuria. Once again, this is a genetic mutation where there is an enzyme called phenylalanine hydroxylase. This is an enzyme which is responsible to convert this to tyrosine, where this tyrosine helps in the production of your epinephrine and even your dopamine. So children who do not have this enzyme will lead to a condition called phenylketonuria, which basically leads to brain impairment and even growth development. And certain medications for the mother who is on illegal drugs, alcohol, nicotine abuse by the mother, are precluded from breastfeeding. Or if there is a breast surgery, there is no breast surgery, there is no breast and the mother cannot breastfeed. So obviously, either she has to go for a donor milk, or she has to use the infant formula. So chronic illness of the mother like AIDS, cancer, TB, hepatitis, etc. These are the conditions where mother cannot breastfeed. So if these are the barriers for breastfeeding, then what is the solution? So in the previous slides, we saw the comparison between the breast milk and the human milk. And we also saw the barriers to breastfeeding. So these are the slide that you're seeing. These are the conditions where the mother cannot breastfeed. So what is the alternative? Please type in. Vivek Anna says slides are not visible. Okay, but I can see on my mobile the slides are visible. Please log in again in case if the slides are not visible. So what is the solution? Please type in. The answer has already been told at the beginning of the session. Very good. Sahu Milan says Bilk. Very good. Anybody else? Only Bilk? So already Divya has sold Bilk. I'm just waiting somebody would say something else. Very good. Upender says, Rahul says Bilk. Everybody is typing Bilk. Sajid says infant formula. Infant milk formula. Very good. Saurabh says Tamrapatra. Fantastic. So you get a virtual Tamrapatra. So all the people who have responded correctly would get a virtual Tamrapatra and a virtual gift. I'll send you through courier. Good. Nasscent, fantastic. I was looking for this as well. Desu Satish, very good. Nasscent, Bilk. So, very good, very good. So let me move on. So what is the suitable alternative to breast milk? The answer is, you have responded rightly. It is infant milk formula. So I will not go through this. Already Divya has mentioned this. Infant formula is defined by law as in a part or a food for use by infants that stimulate the human milk or is suitable as a complete or a partial substitute for human milk. Now let me take you through whey protein. So whey is the leftover when milk coagulates. People who have attended my training programs, we discuss whey protein exclusively. So it is nothing but, if you look at the picture here, when the milk coagulates, it splits into two parts. One is the curd part, another one is the liquid part, the yellowy liquid part, which is the whey. So whey protein constitutes about 80% of the protein in the breast milk and contains all essential amino acids. When I say all essential amino acids, it's very important that any protein source should have all the essential amino acids. So the breast milk has all the essential amino acids. Now this is the picture which clearly shows what is whey and what is casein. The whey is the liquid part. This is the pen. Okay. So this is your whey, the liquid part, and this is your casein. So let's understand the nutrients in the mother's milk. Now this is where I'm going to spend a lot of time. If you understand this, you will understand the product, because this is where this is why we have tried to mimic the human milk, mimic the human milk with infant formula. Now let's look at what are the ingredients that you have in the human milk. Now it has two parts. One is the whey part. Another one is your casein part. Okay. Now this is in the ratio of 60 to 40. Remember this. This is in the ratio of 60 to 40. I'll use a. Do I have an eraser here? Okay. I'll use a laser pointer. Okay. Now let's look at beta lactoglobulin. Now it does not contain, human milk does not contain beta lactoglobulin. It is 0%. Now let's go to the second most important ingredient here. It is alpha lactalbumin. Please make a note. If you are having a pen and a paper, please make a note. Very important protein in the whey protein. It is alpha lactalbumin. Okay. What percentage? It is 36%. It is the 36%. The most predominant protein available in the milk, alpha lactalbumin, it is 36%. Now what are the other immunoglobulins that are present? That is IgG, IgA and IgM. It is 17%. Then you have serum albumin, 6%. Lactoferrin, so please make a note once again, lactoferrin is 25%. So in the proteins category, lactoferrin happens to be the second most important protein. So when I take you through the product, I will draw your attention back to this alpha lactalbumin and also lactoferrin. So lactoferrin is 25% and glycomacropeptides are not present and other proteins 10%. So just remember two things from this slide. From the whey protein, one is alpha lactalbumin 36% and lactoferrin is 25%. Out of the 100% of the whey protein that is present in the human milk. Now let's look at the casein types that are present in the human milk. Beta casein is 68%. Make a note, beta casein is 68%. And kappa casein is 20%. Alpha is S1 casein is 12% and alpha S2 casein is 0%. So remember the two things from this slide. One is alpha lactalbumin 36% and the predominant protein in the casein again is the beta casein, which is 68%. Now let me compare this human milk with the bovine milk or the cow's milk. Now look at this here. The total milk protein per 100 ml, it is just 0.95 gram or 1 gram, or some slides we may present it as 1.1. But just for understanding purpose, just remember as 1 gram per 100 ml. Now look at this. Now look at the total milk protein. It is 3.3, 3 times higher than the human breast milk. Okay, so it is not a suitable alternative. Now look at the whey casein ratio. It is almost reversed here. Now what is it? 20% of the total protein. It just whey protein contributes to only 20% of the total protein. If you look at casein, casein is 80%. So the predominant type of protein present in the bovine milk is casein. So the ratio is altered here. It is 20 is to 80. Whereas there it is whey to casein is 80 to 20. Now look at this beta lactoglobulin. In the human breast milk it was 0 if you remember. Here it is 52%. So the predominant protein that is found in the whey protein or in the bovine milk, the fraction of this whey protein is beta lactoglobulin, which is not actually present in the human breast milk. Now let us now look at the alpha lactalbumin. It is only 17%. There it was 36%. Okay, I'll draw this comparison once again in the next few slides. So just see here, it is alpha lactalbumin is just 17% in the bovine milk. Now immunoglobulins IgG, IgA and IgM are just 10%. Serum albumin is 5%, lactoferrin is 1.5%, and glycomacropeptides are present, it is 12%, and other proteins 2.5. Now here once again in the casein, the beta casein is the second most predominant, whereas the most predominant protein here is alpha S1 casein. It is 40%. Now, this is the summary of the previous 2 slides. Now let's look at the breast milk. Breast milk whey is 60%, casein is 40%. Now in the whey protein, the most predominant protein is the alpha lactalbumin. Okay, how much? It is 36%. In the casein, beta casein is predominant, which is 68%. So if you wish to make a note, please make a note. The most predominant protein in the whey protein is the alpha lactalbumin, whereas in the casein it is the beta casein. If you look at the bovine milk, the ratio is literally altered. It is the reverse, whereas whey is only 20%, casein is 80%. The predominant protein in the whey is beta lactoglobulin in the whey, whereas in the casein it is the alpha casein is predominant. But for me, you need to remember this: alpha lactalbumin is the predominant protein found in the human breast milk. Now let's look at the alpha lactalbumin in the mother's milk and in the cow's milk. Now 36% of whey protein is alpha lactalbumin, and it contributes or it comprises of 22% of the total protein. 22% of the total protein. Whereas in the cow's milk, it is only 17%. Alpha lactalbumin contributes to only 17% of the whey protein, and it contributes to only 3.5% of the total protein. So what is that we can infer from this slide? Actually, the cow's milk or the bovine milk is not a suitable alternative to the humans. Human milk is for the humans, cow's milk is for the cows. So alpha lactalbumin constitute approximately 22% of the total protein and approximately 36% of the whey protein in human milk, and approximately 3.5% of the total protein and approximately 17% of the whey protein in the bovine milk. So let me take you through the importance of alpha lactalbumin. So as I mentioned in my previous slides, it is the dominating protein found in the human milk. Almost 37% of whey in the breast milk is alpha lactalbumin. Alpha lactalbumin becomes a significant source of amino acids like tryptophan, cysteine and lysine, and contributes to the proper balance of essential amino acids in the human milk. Tryptophan is amino acid which is found in alpha lactalbumin. Tryptophan is a precursor of serotonin, a neurotransmitter that controls the sleep wake cycle and also to the stress response. Now, what happens is when a mother breastfeeds and this is metabolized, these alpha lactalbumin can contribute to the increase in the tryptophan, which basically tryptophan becomes a precursor of serotonin and is a neurotransmitter which controls the sleep wake cycle. So initially the baby suffers from the sleep wake cycle. Throughout the day it will be sleeping and in the night it will be awake. So this cycle can be corrected with the serotonin, and also it also depends how the child will respond to the stress. So serotonin plays an important role in controlling the sleep wake cycle and also stress. Peptides obtained from the proteolysis of alpha lactalbumin supports overall immunity and strengthens the gut immunity. So what is this proteolysis? When the alpha lactalbumin is broken in our GI tract, these peptides will contribute to increasing the immunity and also the strength of the gut immunity. Gut is your stomach. Now when your alpha lactalbumin is proteolyzed or it is broken down, it can contribute to 3 amino acids. One is tryptophan, cysteine and lysine. Now what is the role of tryptophan? Tryptophan, as I mentioned, it is a precursor of serotonin, a neurotransmitter that regulates the response to stress, sleep, wake, rhythm. Cysteine is a precursor of taurine, which helps in the metabolism of PUFA, that is polyunsaturated fatty acid. Now, as you remember that PUFA are your polyunsaturated fatty acids, which are your omega-3 and omega-6. So your taurine helps in the metabolism of your PUFA. Lysine helps in the production of carnitine, improves immunity and promotes wound healing. Now, lysine also plays an important role. Along with lysine and methionine, I think in the next few slides I will speak about that. It will help in the production of L-carnitine. Lysine along with methionine helps in the production of carnitine. So what does this carnitine does? It also improves, it improves your immunity, promotes wound healing, and also it plays a role in, transporting or breaking your long chain fatty acids into short chain fatty acids and converting fat into energy as well. Now what is immunity? We have been teaching this. Quickly type in whatever you know about immunity. Please type in what is immunity. I'm not getting any responses. Please type in. I think we have around 700 plus participants. Just type in 1 word, 2 words, whatever you know about immunity. I'm sure this is a slide that we must have exposed to you during the training programs. I vividly remember, this is the slide that I've taken from Palmo Plus. Okay, very good. Shahir Khan says defense system. This is what I expect, just 1 or 2 words. Okay, Sahu says body's defense mechanism. Very good. Basawa says strength, protect illness. Satya Singh. Mukesh Kumar Pandey says body's defense mechanism. Joshua says fight against bacteria. Very good. Very good. So thanks for responding. Okay. So what is immunity? It is a state of having sufficient biological defenses to avoid infections, diseases and unwanted biological invasion. Now somebody mentioned as biological defense. Absolutely right. Now for example, let's say we as a country, let's say India, we are surrounded by a lot of neighboring countries like Pakistan, Bangladesh, you have China and you have Sri Lanka. So a lot of countries are there. Imagine if we do not have an army protecting our borders. Okay, now they can anytime these rogues can infiltrate our borders and can come and trouble here, or they can take over. So basically immunity is nothing but like our army who are protecting our borders. So this is now who plays the role of immunity. We'll see in the next few slides. I'm not sure if this video will play. Yes.
A mosquito lands on your arm, injects its chemicals into your skin, and begins to feed. You wouldn't even know it was there if not for the red lump that appears, accompanied by a telltale itch. It's a nuisance, but that bump is an important signal that you're protected by your immune system, your body's major safeguard against infection, illness, and disease. This system is a vast network of cells, tissues, and organs that coordinate your body's defenses against any threats to your health. Without it, you'd be exposed to billions of bacteria, viruses, and toxins that could make something as minor as a paper cut or a seasonal cold fatal. The immune system relies on millions of defensive white blood cells, also known as leukocytes, that originate in our bone marrow. These cells migrate into the bloodstream and the lymphatic system, a network of vessels which helps clear bodily toxins and waste. Our bodies are teeming with leukocytes. There are between 4,000 and 11,000 in every microliter of blood. As they move around, leukocytes work like security personnel, constantly screening the blood, tissues, and organs for suspicious signs. This system mainly relies on cues called antigens. These molecular traces on the surface of pathogens and other foreign substances betray the presence of invaders. As soon as the leukocytes detect them, it takes only minutes for the body's protective immune response to kick in. Threats to our bodies are hugely variable, so the immune response has to be equally adaptable. That means relying on many different types of leukocytes to tackle threats in different ways. Despite this diversity, we classify leukocytes in two main cellular groups, which coordinate a two-pronged attack. First, phagocytes trigger the immune response by sending macrophages and dendritic cells into the blood. As these circulate, they destroy any foreign cells they encounter, simply by consuming them. That allows phagocytes to identify the antigen on the invaders they just ingested and transmit this information to the second major cell group orchestrating the defense, the lymphocytes. A group of lymphocyte cells called T cells go in search of infected body cells and swiftly kill them off. Meanwhile, B cells and helper T cells use the information gathered from the unique antigens to start producing special proteins called antibodies. This is the pièce de résistance. Each antigen has a unique matching antibody that can latch onto it like a lock and key and destroy the invading cells. B cells can produce millions of these, which then cycle through the body and attack the invaders until the worst of the threat is neutralized. While all of this is going on, familiar symptoms like high temperatures and swelling are actually processes designed to aid the immune response. A warmer body makes it harder for bacteria and viruses to reproduce and spread because they're temperature sensitive. And when body cells are damaged, they release chemicals that make fluid leak into the surrounding tissues, causing swelling. That also attracts phagocytes, which consume the invaders and the damaged cells. Usually, an immune response will eradicate a threat within a few days. It won't always stop you from getting ill, but that's not its purpose. Its actual job is to stop a threat from escalating to dangerous levels inside your body. And through constant surveillance over time, the immune system provides another benefit. It helps us develop long-term immunity. When B and T cells identify antigens, they can use that information to recognize invaders in the future. So when a threat revisits, the cells can swiftly deploy the right antibodies to tackle it before it affects any more cells. That's how you can develop immunity to certain diseases, like chickenpox. It doesn't always work so well. Some people have autoimmune diseases, which trick the immune system into attacking the body's own perfectly healthy cells. No one knows exactly what causes them, but these disorders sabotage the immune system to varying degrees and underlie problems like arthritis, type 1 diabetes, and multiple sclerosis. For most individuals, however, a healthy immune system will successfully fight off an estimated 300 colds and innumerable other potential infections over the course of a lifetime. Without it, those threats would escalate into something far more dangerous. So the next time you catch a cold or scratch a mosquito bite, think of the immune system. We owe it our lives.
So now, why did I play this video? The reason why I played this video on immunity is the next few slides, the major ingredient that we have, the alpha-lactalbumin or lactoferrin or the FOS or the galacto-oligosaccharide or the HMO, or targeted toward immunity. So if you understand immunity correctly, you can position the product and you can speak to the doctor on immunity. So as I mentioned you earlier, that alpha-lactalbumin is the predominant protein present in the mother's milk. What percentage? If you can type in quickly, I would really appreciate. Type in quickly, what percentage? I'll keep repeating this question. There would be a lag of 4 to 5 seconds. You may see some silence or dead silence sometimes. No video, sir. Stream unavailable.